It takes all of us, though, right?
Yep. Okay, John 1, 1 through what, 18 is what we're on? Yeah. The word becomes flesh. Anybody want to get started reading that?
I
I
do.
can.
Okay, who is the I do first? Sharon's got it.
Okay. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things came into being through him, and without him, not one thing came into being. What has come into being in him was life, and the life was the light of all people. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not overcome it.
There was
Mary
a
Lou,
man.
you're up.
There was a man sent from God whose name was John. He came as a witness to testify to the light, so that all might believe through him. He himself was not the light, but he came to testify to the light. The true light, which enlightens everyone, was coming into the world. He was in the world, and the world came into being through him, yet the world did not know him. He came to what was his own, and his own people did not accept him. But to all who received him, who believed in his name, he gave power to become children of God, who were born not of blood or of the will of the flesh or of the will of man, but of God. Next.
And the Word became flesh and lived among us, and we have seen his glory, the glory as of a Father's only Son, full of grace and truth. John testified to him and cried out, "This was he of whom I have said, he who comes after me ranks ahead of me, because he was before me. From his fullness we have all received grace upon grace. The law indeed was given through Moses. Grace and truth came through Jesus Christ. No one has ever seen God. It is God, the only Son, who is close to the Father's heart, who has made him known."
I think outside of Revelation, this is my favorite.
Yeah, I believed. I agree.
So, I just want us, because we've been at this work for so long, to remind ourselves of how John, the gospel writer, sets the stage here. There are some incredibly important things in these first few verses that we need to pay attention to as we read the entirety of John, which we're not today, but this is what we need to do is to make sure we always um, our ears perk up to these things. So I'm going to leave it up to you guys. What do you know in this first piece that how John lays the groundwork here?
I I appreciate the mirroring of Genesis 1, of Bereshit in the beginning.
Yeah.
Yep.
And how for me it ties it feels very Trinitarian to me that it's all of a piece, that God was God in the very beginning at Genesis, and that the concept of God with Jesus and the Holy Spirit is God. It's the same God.
Mm.
I noticed right away that he starts with his theme of light immediately, especially starting with, well, verse, where am I, 2, 3. What has come into being in him was life, and the life was the light of all people. And then his theme, the light shines in darkness, and the darkness did not overcome it. and that he
Which-
testifies to the light.
Which is also really how Genesis starts.
Mhm.
And
Yes,
God
let there be light.
separated
Yes.
light from dark.
Exactly. Exactly.
And the people who read this would have remembered.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And we should. Right.
Yeah.
we should. That's why this is so important for us to be doing, is that when we read this, we should just know, oh yeah, this sounds just like Genesis. And yes, in it, all that intention in that. What else? There's this is got so much stuff in it.
Well, God creates with word,
Mhm.
Yes.
the word.
Yeah.
And then John is like the prophets. So you
John,
have
so John, the gospel writer, John
John
the
the
Baptizer.
Baptist,
Okay.
baptizer is like the prophets. So then we graduate, to the prophets. I mean, in some respects, the whole Old Testament is here.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, because you've got the ending of that 400-year gap for Malachi that brings you, suddenly you've got a new prophet, another prophet. That he was the one who came to testify to the word, which is what the Old Testament prophet had come to testify. So you have all of that.
And then you also have the brother theme in John and Jesus. And it's the younger that inherits. It's the younger that is the important one, not the older one.
Oh, look at it. It's Ann Barnwell. Hi, Ann.
You just kept trying.
Hi, Ann.
You did it. Yay. This is Ann Barnwell. Why don't we just take a moment now that she's jumped in for her to introduce herself.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I have been a member of Grace Episcopal since I was in my early 20s, and you guys get to figure that one out. I am so thrilled to be able to be a part of this. I retired. That's a hint. Earlier this October, and just find this to be so important, and lifelong Episcopalian with some gaps while I was trying to figure things out. So this is terrific. I might be going to the in-person depending on whether the bells choir conductor thinks I'm still eligible, because I'm not terrific at it. So thank you so much for letting me join.
And you and I could be twins. I'm looking at you and going, that's me. We have the same facial structure, the same hair. Oh my goodness. So nice to meet you.
Goodness.
So let's take a moment to introduce ourselves so Ann at least can have a name with a place. So I'm going to call you off because it doesn't work. Sharon?
I'm Sharon Grover. I'm from Trinity Janesville, and I've been doing this Bible study in person and online for, I don't know, maybe 10 or 12 years.
I think we're into the 10 and 12 years now. Ann Wonky?
Ann Wonky, I'm from Trinity Episcopal also. I've been doing the Bible study about as long as Sharon and Kathy have. And as I said, I'm looking at my twin, and I'm a lifelong Episcopalian and church musician.
Mary Lou?
I'm Mary Lou Platt. I'm kind of between churches at this moment. I'm in Minnesota. I love Grace, but Grace is like 45 minutes away from me. So I don't get there often. And Chris, I know Chris because I'm in EFM with Chris, and I did bells with her this summer. She'll let you back in. She welcomes everybody. And I'm pretty new to this group. It's a wonderful group. It's just been a lifesaver for me.
Jane Syme?
Hi, I'm Jane, and I've been with Trinity since 2006 and this Bible study since it was invented. Um, you don't see me at Trinity because I'm a church organist and I took on the work of First Congregational United Church of Christ in Milton, Wisconsin, where I live. And it's 15 miles to Trinity, so I don't get there, as well as the times conflict. But I love this group, these people. I love Trinity people, and I have good people wherever I go.
Yes, you do.
It's nice to meet you. What is your name again? Anna? It's
From Minneapolis. Yeah.
your first name.
Anne, last name Barnwell, and from Grace in Minneapolis.
Anne Burnwell.
Barnwell. Right.
Yeah, but your first name is Anne,
Anne.
correct?
Yeah.
With an E.
And she spells it just like Anne Wonke does, which my daughter would say is the wrong way.
Oh,
Okay.
I say it's the right way, but okay.
and then
Well,
Annetta.
Okay. I'm Annetta Krayeveld. I live in Helena, Montana, but I got started at this group when we still lived in Wisconsin, and I was part of Trinity, and the world shut down.
Right.
COVID. I started coming. So, and it really pretty much saved my life. So, or sanity, maybe my sanity. I'm still been alive, but anyway, so yeah.
And we're missing this morning Catherine Hedin from Grace and Kathleen Anderson Wyman from Grace.
And Jane Korsberg.
Jane Korsberg from she's a Lutheran and Faith Lutheran in
Faith Lutheran.
Janesville.
Yeah.
And Paula sometimes
she's from Trinity.
from Trinity. So yeah, that's us. Yay. And we just read John 1 through 18 out loud. And so we are calling to mind all of the important things we already know about this, well, John in general in this particular passage. So
Purple Bible.
I also want to make sure that we remember this because we've learned this before, that verse 7. So there was a man sent from God whose name was John. John came, and this is John the Baptizer. John came as a witness to testify to the light so that all might believe through him. The him is Jesus, right?
Yep.
John himself was not the light, but came to testify to the light. The true light, which enlightens everyone, was coming into the world. So what we have there is this huge theme in John's gospel that it is through the light that one understands who Jesus is. That's one piece. It's all tied up in this ball of wax that includes the light. It includes belief. It includes relationship. That's John does a wonderful job. John, the gospel writer, does this wonderful job with a great expansive language. And that as the more we come to understand that it all kind of is the same thing, belief and relationship and light, and that's all what it means to be a part of this Jesus movement. One of the things that verse 14, I think is another piece that really informs the rest of the gospel. The word became flesh. So we talked about the Trinitarian nature of this that is so informed by Genesis 1. The word became flesh and lived among us. And we have seen the glory of as of a father for father's own son, full of grace and truth. So this whole fleshiness is such an important piece of John's gospel. That and we hear that in the verbs that we get translated here, dwell and abide, and what's the other translation? To dwell and to abide. You know, the whole vine.
I am the vine, you are the branches.
Yeah. So all those verbs. I'm missing one right off the top of my head. I can't say it. But so that's all part of this. That Jesus, God is now tabernacled in Jesus. God dwells in our midst, in the midst of humanity. God abides. The incredibly intimate relationship is initiated in these words, in this word. And go ahead.
What's interesting is, though, the world was never without God. And so this is, and that's what struck me when we were reading it and when I read it. I was like, we sometimes focus a lot on Jesus becoming flesh, or like God becoming flesh, which is really important for our humanity, but we were never without him.
Yeah.
And it's kind of so as we think about the word becoming flesh, the word that was already there, the light that was already there, God did that for us.
Yes.
Because we needed that.
Yeah. And I think that's an important one. Did God need to do that?
No, we needed it.
We needed God to do that, right? Go ahead. Jane Syme.
This Good News Bible, it says, no one has ever seen God, the only Son, who is the same as God and is at the Father's side. He has made him known.
So I think that's an interesting thing, and I think that I wonder a little bit about that. God is in the flesh. I mean, I think that is clear. I'm not arguing with that in any way, shape, or form. But I wonder about God not having made God's self known previously.
He made himself known.
What about?
I didn't get that from this statement that he wasn't known previously.
Okay.
Because you've got the whole Moses.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking.
At the mount where God comes and says, cover your face, take off your shoes. If you really behave, you can see the backside of me. So, and then you also get the different parts where, like with Sarah and Abraham, the angel of the Lord comes, the three come to visit. And some people, they said that was the Trinity that came to visit them.
Yeah.
So you have those hints throughout.
Jacob wrestling with God.
Yeah.
I didn't read enough to lead into this to give you your perspective. Out of the fullness of him, of his grace, he has blessed us all, giving us one blessing after another. God gave the law through Moses, but grace and truth came through Jesus Christ. No one has ever seen God, the only Son, who is the same as God and is at the Father's side. He has made him known.
Yeah.
If you look at the whole paragraph.
Right.
No, I should have read all the way back.
Yeah.
Channeling my best, Amy Jill Levine.
Say that again, Sharon.
I guess I would take some exception. I said channeling my best, Amy Jill Levine.
Oh,
I might take some exception to that. I think it's more of a through line.
More of a what?
God more of a through line. That God has always been there. God has always made God's self known. We don't always listen.
Yeah, yeah,
We don't always look.
yeah. Yeah, and I think
Right.
that all goes back to Annetta's point that this is a newness, right? This is something that God is doing that is new. And it's clear that God is doing this new thing because God's people have run amok, or maybe continue to run amok.
Yeah, yeah.
Running amok is not a new thing, but that this Emmanuel is a new thing, God in our midst. So I still could ask if that is a true statement. And as far as I know and understand, I think that that's a true statement. But I know that there are people who might make an argument that God has shown God's self in other ways previously. But we don't need to argue that.
Well, but not as directly.
Well, I get yes, that this is new.
Yeah,
Right.
I agree with you on that.
That this
Maybe
is
not, maybe directly, but maybe not as long term. I mean, this was a lifetime that we
Yeah.
were given, right? As opposed to a meeting, because I think that it was pretty real when Adam and Eve walked with God, and I think there were times it was just not as watching a life lived. How do we live our lives,
Mhm.
right?
yeah.
Mm,
Yeah,
interesting.
because God was with the Israelites for 40 years.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You had the whole tent, you had the whole temple culture.
Yeah.
And
But
the
his
sense-
feet weren't on the ground at that time, showing us
Right.
each individually. Yeah, that's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
Well, and the other new news is that as you go on through the rest of the gospel, when he says, I am with you always, it's a whole different kind of newness.
Yeah.
Not only in the prophets and in the person of Jesus, but then in the Holy Spirit, I am with you within yourselves.
Yeah. No, I think that's a really good point too, Anne. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Is that new, or is it just a new understanding?
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
I think
like
it's a
that.
new understanding. I mean, people who say that the Spirit is new in the New Testament, it
No.
isn't.
No, it's not.
No.
Spirit is in the Old Testament.
Yeah. Always there. Always there. I am quite taken with this whole idea of, in John of tabernacling. I think that that's for me is a really, it's a really important way for me to understand what this dwelling in and amongst us is, that in a world in which God could be carried in a box, in which God could be transported from one place to another place, where
That
that
always puzzled me.
well, that in this story, we now see that God is tabernacled, is made manifest, is in our midst in this human being who's got flesh and blood and who will die just as you and I will die. And then the and becomes incredibly important and then continues to dwell with humanity even after that physical death. So there's all sorts of newness in all of that. Mary Lou?
What strikes me about the tabernacling is that God, so Jesus, whatever, is tabernacled in us.
Yes,
Each one of
exactly.
us.
In each one of us. God dwells, abides. I love I love Peterson's words, although they're not nearly as mystical as any of that. But the way Peterson says is that God moved into the neighborhood.
I like that.
Yeah.
And stays.
And stays. Yeah. And stays in the neighborhood. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So we have read, and we've been reading this book. We're at the end now. Voices of Advent by Matthew Skinner, and we've kind of jumped over his exposition on John 1 through 18 because we just have. Because we just read it in church this past Sunday. So it's kind of why we saved it. So, what does he have to say about all of this that might be new to you or might be break anything open for you?
Well, what broke open for me is the flesh part and the way he describes flesh. You can touch flesh.
Mhm.
And I had never thought about that. I mean, that just made it so much more personal, I guess, for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
One thing I appreciated, and it's on page 31 in the second paragraph, when he's talking about the baptism. And we have our dear friends who say babies shouldn't be baptized. You should wait until you're older and make your own decision, etc. And he says in the bottom, the last sentence, John employed a baptism for the purification of one's body, and that takes me right back to the Old Testament with the whole concept of purification. And I just saw on Facebook, I'm on an Israeli page or something, where they have found the mikvah that went into the second temple, where the people would come to be purified before they went into the temple. It just really hit me. Whereas Josephus says he considered baptism a purification, and the Gospels say it's a baptism of repentance for the forgiveness of sins, which John also talks about. But I just find the difference between the two, the ritual of the baptism in the temple, and then the idea of the baptism, which later becomes the baptism of the Holy Spirit.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's the important one for us right now.
I have a question. When did
These ladies have been together.
historically, when did baptism become of infants instead of adults?
I don't know.
Boy.
Because if we become a new person and repent and become a new person, a baby can't really do that, make that decision. And
I think when the church, Big C Church, decided that we were born in sin.
Thank you, Augustine.
Pardon me, Mary Lou?
Thank you, Augustine.
Yes, Saint Augustine.
There you go. So, I mean, if that's the belief that babies are born in sin, then you got to get them out of sin pretty darn quick, or you got some.
And the whole concept of that if they were not baptized and if they died, and so many died as infants,
right. So,
and we don't want you to feel that we're just overwhelming you. And Barnwell.
But the households were baptized in Acts, whole household.
It's true.
whole
And so it was almost a decision of a family, and in that time period, a patriarch to follow the way.
Yeah.
So I think it's always been part. I think both have always been part of our Christendom, and they both have rich heritage. That's how I feel about baptism. There's rich heritage both ways.
Yeah. So somebody else?
Well, I was just thinking that I don't know that it would have seemed so odd to the early Christians who were Jewish because that whole welcoming the baby into the community in
That-
different ways has always
Always been. Yeah.
been part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's continue to look at the idea of God in the flesh. And that and the piece that I think is so amazing about John's gospel in total is from God's fullness, verse 16, we have all received grace upon grace. That piece that comes right at the beginning of John's gospel carries through the entirety, this whole God coming in the flesh. Matthew Skinner on page 75 uses the words, what does God's love look like? In flesh, it looks like Jesus. What does God's love look like? It looks like Jesus. And then we can extrapolate that therefore it looks like every one of us. God's love looks like every one of us. And that God gives grace upon grace. The abundance is overflowing. God's love flows over and into all creation, and continues to do so. And John's gospel just keeps at that theme of abundance and grace and God's love infleshed. And there you go. That's one of the things I love about John's gospel. And go ahead.
At the bottom of page 75, the very last sentence I have under marked exclamation point. Jesus is very close to God, but it's not so much at the divine heart where Jesus resides. It's at the divine breast, which is a better way of translating.
Mother.
And that is so much more intimate and sustaining, and
Yeah. And so why didn't that ever get translated that way? Because it's too intimate, too much, right? It's how can you talk about a God? I mean, you might be able to talk about a God in the flesh, but how do you talk about that kind of intimacy? I mean, and that's where these words go, the dwelling and the abiding, that's where those words go. They go to this amazingly intimate relationship of God and God's beloveds. And if you do that, I mean, I think this is the crux of this gospel, is that if you can go there, if you can go to that place where God stoops so low, God can meet you on the bathroom floor when you are in your worst agony and worst place, then you go to that place where God is present in Jesus in every single human being. With that,
breast makes it like human. Heart makes it mystical.
Yeah. And with that humanity, there is no possible way for you to dehumanize any one of God's people, God's beloveds. So as long as you can keep that wall up, that that a wall that of
dehumanizing.
Yeah, well, where you can't say these things about
when we keep our faith mystical, we don't have to have a practical outlet for it, right?
Yeah, I think
just hit something right on the head for me.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, and I don't think it's absolute there. I mean, I think
I think it's a mix, but I don't think you can totally have a mystical faith.
Right.
It has to have the flesh The word has to become flesh for
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
Sharon, we'll talk later.
And do you think that I'm again, you guys know I experiment with words as they come out. Do you think that is the very thing that I mean, maybe another wall that gets put up so one does not have to feel and be a part of the messiness of God in the flesh, of the horribleness of humanity and the joyfulness of humanity.
It separates
Love
us
the
from
way you brought
pain.
it down to the bathroom floor, because that surely is a description of when it is horrible,
Yeah,
and you can recognize God there.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Do you think it's a way we separate ourselves from pain?
I do believe so.
Yes.
I think
And
it's
so we have to allow ourselves. We have to allow ourselves to embrace pain. That's hard.
I think
It's
it's
really hard.
it's what we use to
How
separate
do you do
ourselves
that?
from one another. It's
Tell me
what we
about it.
separate ourselves from. Yeah. Mary Lou wanted to jump in and we
Oh,
jumped
no,
all over her.
I just, no, I'm fine. I just, I'm thinking about that, and yeah, I tend to have so much empathy that it can hurt. It can really hurt
Yes,
at
it
times.
Mhm.
And I think that's what it means. And what I was going to say, though, is I don't think that I will ever look at the Madonna and Child the same again, because that's God and Jesus. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's that kind of love and connection that you have with a baby, with a child who's suckling at your breast.
Yeah, that's an amazing sort of image, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, why don't we jump a little bit forward into our conclusion since we still have not gotten there. Life after Advent, and I mean he talks about medieval. I pulled up a picture because I wanted you to see this. Hang on a sec. Is this it? There. Oh, I should have made it bigger, but there you go. Can you see that?
Yeah.
So this is a sort of a permanent nativity that I found that was in Bet Shahur in the Holy Land, and I was so taken by this big baby Jesus, big white baby Jesus.
That's the hugest
I mean,
part.
it just big white baby Jesus in the middle of
All this other.
this nativity. It continues to confound me.
Where did you find that?
Let's see, my notes say Bet Shahur. I can't remember exactly which site we were at, but yeah, one of the sites. Let's see if I can locate it a little bit differently.
I guess it was different than where I was.
Stars and Bucks Cafe, Jerusalem. So this is Bethlehem. So yeah,
It is in Bethlehem.
I
Okay.
believe this is in Bethlehem. Yeah, yeah.
Bethlehem was very strange to me. They pointed out where the shepherds were going up the hill.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, I that can't call to mind when he starts talking about artwork and how that baby gets. And I think that Mary Lou, what is more true for me is the sort of the vulnerability of the baby at the breast of the Theotokos, the mother.
I would like to see that picture better. Would you please send it to me?
Sure, I can do that.
I'd appreciate that.
I'm going to write myself a note because, I can't remember a darn thing.
Oh, now wait a minute. Are you just like me?
Or me.
Man, you're way younger.
Okay. At the bottom of page 107. Very last, our bodies are the places the locations, the tabernacle, I added that, where God meets us and blesses us. In our bodies, we learn what it is like to be loved, to be comforted in our grief, to be celebrated, to be forgiven, to be seen, and to be treated with dignity. We learn all of that from other people if we are fortunate. We learn it from God if we open ourselves up.
That's quite a statement.
It is, isn't it?
And I like and the next one too. Jesus's followers have a regrettable legacy, telling people that our bodies are sources of distraction, ignorance, and not evil. And that.
So why did that happen
I'm having a hard time. I'm sorry.
In history?
I don't know. I wonder if it had to do with the fact of so much disease. And this, I'm just guessing here.
Yeah.
Because I've been reading about some of the early nurses and early people in the 1800s, 1700s.
But it came so early. I mean, I believe that, you read about
even with Augustine and
the Dark Ages and the medieval times when people, were as likely to die as to live. There was, that, yes. Yeah.
You look at St. John of the Cross and the mystics, and what was it that turned them away from the incarnation into this?
Is it tied to, sorry.
Go ahead, Sharon, and then
St. Paul.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He did the very same thing.
Right from the very beginning.
Is it our tie to works, right? Like we still want to earn our way.
Mm-hmm.
And so then there have to be the winners and the losers. That's part of human nature a little bit, right? So you must be a loser. And how do we do that? We want to pin stuff on other people. It's that whole us and them thing that I think is what causes us to call those things out.
Mm.
And also, isn't it historically part of a lot of religious cultures, like not Christian or Jewish specifically, but all, we have the reason we need atonement, right? The whole atonement idea becomes prominent in the story of Christ.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and you also have in the Eastern religion cultures, and I'm thinking of Hindu, where the body is not considered holy or anything that, and the reincarnation and because of that, they haven't paid as much attention to caring for the body as they could perhaps. But
so then does that make us fall into the burdening us with sin?
Yeah. When did that? Yeah. I mean, I think you're all right, and we will never know. I'm also thinking about I've referred to David Lose's book so many times, the Making Sense of the Cross. And he delineates sort of 4 different atonement theories there in that book for us. And every single one of them is sort of kind of made up or made to try and to explain the brutality of Jesus on the cross, because in the face of state terrorism and brutality, we turn our gaze away. And that, I think, is the truth of humanity, over and over and over again, that we just can't sort of stand the reality of Jesus on the cross, because that was the sentence for sedition, and that was the belief that who Jesus was, and sedition was his crime. And we come to that. I come to that with Jesus didn't turn away from that, but Jesus loved humanity to the end. And why can't it just be that way? Why do we have to make up all sorts of theories about a sacrifice or this or
Yeah.
that or the other
Yeah.
thing?
About loving.
We can't.
Yeah, that's always the way I've looked at it too. I love Stations of the Cross.
Mhm.
I love it. But there are a lot of people who can't deal with that.
Yeah, yeah. And that's a brutal story. Stations of the Cross is a brutal story.
Well, and especially if you understand physically what crucifixion
Yeah.
does
Yeah.
and how you die. I mean, you drown. You
Yeah, yeah.
slowly drown. And wow. I mean,
Yeah.
think about that for a minute.
Well, and in a world, so you all know, my literature of choice is science fiction and fantasy. And in a world that watches and reads so much brutality and horror and apocalyptic and post-apocalyptic stories. We seem to be able to do that because why? A distance, it's a distance, it's got distance. And maybe the story of Jesus is so personal. It is so, I mean, that's what we've been saying over and over again this morning is that this is personal. It is in our flesh, in our midst. It is awfully messy and awfully brutal. And we would rather see all of that at a distance.
I
We
think brutality.
Okay,
we watch-
Annetta, then Jane, and then Mary Lou.
I think the brutality we watch on television or in a movie is separated. We can turn it off.
Yeah, yeah.
I have often been reflecting on how my parents' generation, having been in occupied Netherlands and so many people who came through the Depression, they understood hunger.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a big part of my life was helping others. I think now we can remove ourselves from those who are hungry. And so we don't, because it's not something we all experience, right? And
Right.
so we can remove ourselves from it. And I think that's what we've done with brutality, right? We can remove ourselves if we are so privileged.
We call it, and that bothers me.
Wait a minute, Anne. We got Jane, and Mary Lou. Jane. Do you remember, Jane?
No, I remember. We are always focusing on the crucifixion, and there is so much more. The brutality of his whippings, of his carrying that cross. And I walked the way, and when you go up and down those stairs and you think to yourself that Jesus had this enormous cross and he's first been beat up with the whip 30 times and with these pieces of metal and stone to cut him. We ignore all that and focus on the crucifixion, and you can sort of wipe out all of that misery by looking at just that cross.
Yeah, you're right. Mary Lou.
I think for myself that one of the reasons that we distance from all of that is because inside we all have the capacity to do that.
You're right.
And so we're distancing from ourselves.
Oh, wow.
Compartmentalizing.
Oh. And you do you want to jump in?
Yeah, and what bothers me in the current, having teenage grandchildren, the whole concept of what they're watching on screens, what they're doing on the computers, even Nicholas making up games. Well, I don't know what he's made. Well, even the little ones like Minecraft and some of those where you're beginning to see the pretend violence in the kids, as Christopher would say, Grandma, don't get upset. This is pretend. Well, how do you tell the difference eventually then?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
but
that-
wasn't
that
Mary
it?
does
Lou
worry
makes
me.
Mary Lou makes a really good point. It's we need to look at this as a window into ourselves.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, Mary Lou.
And I think part of that is facing our own mortality as well.
Mhm.
I think, and I think that's a part of what Mary Lou's,
Yeah.
what that whole sort of ball of wax is.
The
Sharon,
older we get.
did you want to jump in, Sharon?
Well, I mean, to Mary Lou's point, look how many people sign up to ICE.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
And
sorry, sign up to what? Sharon, I didn't get.
to be part of ICE.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. Well,
Um,
there's money in that, and then you don't, yeah. The brutality is amazing.
that's a-
And as for the kids playing Minecraft and stuff like that, think about Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner.
Oh, I know. We all had the same idea. It was that
Yeah.
distancing ourselves from and knowing that it wasn't, But the problem is that some of this, the kids are not able to distance themselves as we were with the cartoons because it was animated,
Well,
what have
yeah.
you. And that
I think
that
I think, Anne, you're making a good point. I remember a friend of mine telling me that her parents had to outlaw the cartoons because her brother actually took a hammer and because he was young and did not see the difference. So some children can separate it as fantasy and not real and a cartoon, but others can't. And that was the same then as it is now.
I think you're right.
And,
Yeah.
and when I was growing up, we played cowboys and Indians with guns.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. There you go.
It's after 10.
Yes. Yes.
we have such- So what are you thinking about, people? I
But
made
we decided we'll go with the lectionary for a little while, right?
right.
Yeah,
Is that
through
right, Sharon?
Epiphany.
Through Epiphany. So we got a couple weeks with the lectionary, I think.
Okay.
Well,
Well, I think we said we would do the lectionary up to Lent.
up to
And then
Lent.
for
Okay.
Lent, we would
We
do
figure this
something
thing out.
else. And we have several suggestions.
Yeah.
I sent another email last night because Anne had suggested N.T. Wright, with whom I have some difficulty.
Did you read?
But-
He's written
not
something
my favorite.
recently that's been fabulous, actually.
Yes, and I couldn't
On-
find it again.
On Facebook or in a book?
I thought it was on Facebook. that
Yeah, I
saw it,
was just, let me
because
see.
I
if-
would never
oh, shoot.
willingly pick up an N.T. Wright book, but
Well, this is
I
good.
mean, only because many of his things I think are spot on,
Yeah.
but his comparison of transgender people
Yeah.
to Gnostic heresy,
Now, I've never read that.
I looked it up. I mean, I looked up because in the book that wasn't Psalms. We read one of his books
Yes, we did.
not too long ago.
Yeah.
And his feelings about LGBTQ people
Oh.
have evolved,
Mm-hmm.
but not transgender people apparently, because what I was looking up was quoting his feeling that it might have Gnosticism in it.
Yeah, which is a fascinating way to go. I mean, this most recent column that I just read, I was able to pull it up on Facebook, and it's what he argues is that many Christians have fundamentally misread the goal of
Yes.
Christianity. Instead of seeing salvation as God's plan to renew all creation, uniting heaven and earth, believers have often been taught that the purpose of faith is simply for souls to escape to heaven after death.
Yeah.
And he
That's,
apparently,
I mean, part of
big
what we've been
theme of
talking
his.
about, right? Is this sort of who uses the word salvation? How does that, and what does it really mean for us to be I mean, salvation, as you have heard me say over and over again, in John's gospel, salvation equals belief. Salvation equals God's love. I mean, it's all the same thing. That it's not a different sort of, a decision to be made to be saved. It's being in relationship with Jesus. Anyway, so that's
Okay,
it.
so
So we'll do
My-
lectionary for next week.
Yeah, lectionary for
I'll
next
send
week.
out the lectionary for next Sunday.
Next Sunday. I don't know what year, what,
Yeah, well,
year
I'll
A.
send it out. So
Um,
would that be the 4th or the 11th though, Sharon?
The 11th.
yeah, because the 4th is coming up.
Yep, the 11th, okay.
So are we going to look at the Sunday readings, or do we want to look at the Epiphany readings?
I thought we were going to look at the Sunday reading.
Okay, that's what I was thinking as well. We can kind of include
And
our observations on the Epiphany readings if we want, but okay. Well, I'm leaning toward you probably know what I'm leaning toward.
Yep. We know.
That sounds good to me. I was
Yeah.
looking
I-
at the other choices. I thought,
Yeah.
I think I'm leaning to Madeline.
Yeah, yeah.
number one, I like the idea that it will cost us virtually nothing.
Virtually nothing, yeah, and all of us can save some penny in these days. So
Yeah.
what I'm thinking I would do is to buy it, and whatever you wanna, I mean, those of you who
Well, would Grace buy it? Because it's only $45.
yeah, well, it could do that, or I mean, if I bought it and you mean for just to foot the bill? I didn't even ask about that. I will ask
Well,
that.
no, I'd be happy to chip in.
Well,
But
so,
I just
I mean,
thought
I could,
since you have an in-person group there,
yeah,
maybe
yeah,
it
I'm not
makes
sure.
sense for Grace to buy it.
Buy it. Yeah, I'm not sure what I haven't broached this with them yet. So, although I'd like to do that.
What book
Well-
is that?
So it's the one that remember, Jane, you started with that Sharon would make sure you could download or print out or so what I'm imagining is that somebody would take care of some copies at Trinity in Janesville if people need it printed. I would take care of printing some here at Grace if people here needed it printed, and anyone who was comfortable reading it electronically would get it electronically. But the other, yeah. So
What's the name of it again? I've forgotten.
I can't remember, but it's based on Madeline Langle's book, A Circle of Quiet. It's in one of the link is in.
You sent it.
here
yeah.
it is. From
It was in the email for this week's readings.
which one is it? From Lent for Everyone, Matthew? No, that's not it.
No,
From Wilderness to Glory? No, that's not
no, those are some.
others.
Let me see if I can find it.
Sorry.
Here it is. I got it. Let me see here. And well, you'll have to just send the link
I'll
back.
send it again. Yeah.
Sorry.
And while I certainly can read it online, I think I would prefer to have a printout so I
Me
can mark
too.
it up.
I like to make notes and
So
stuff.
I have a really good printer and I'll just print it out.
I can do that.
Hopefully it's not an enormous number of pages
I-
because I don't know if we'll be able to do it at Trinity.
I'm pretty sure we cannot. I'll tell you.
That
what
would be
we
my
can.
guess, Sam.
Yeah. You and I are on the same page.
And then I think here at Grace, I should be able to come and do the printer to make some copies. So I think we can count on
I'll
that.
chip in for you, Sharon Rover.
Okay, and so we'll
Okay,
figure it
thank
out best to I will get it paid for one way or another way, and then we can figure
And
out
then
how
we can send some
people might
money.
want to
Yeah,
contribute.
because it's the whole thing for congregational use is $45.
$45. So yeah. Yeah, not a pile of money there.
I can contribute too.
Yeah.
Just let us know.
Yeah.
I'll contribute Sharon to copies for Trinity people.
Okay.
Okay, if I need
Okay.
it, that would be fine.
So
It will
next
depend
week,
on how many pages it is.
next week lectionary
For the
and
11th.
for the 11th. Um,
And do you want me to send the Epiphany too?
yeah, why don't you?
Okay.
So, I mean, it's not too different than, I mean, the Old Testament, let's see, we're reading Isaiah. I think the alternate is Jeremiah, but the gospel is the gospel. Because that story's only in one gospel, which is one thing to know. The story of the Magi is only in one gospel.
Interesting.
Okie dokie, guys.
Okay,
Stay
so good
warm.
Take care.
See ya.
Bye.
Happy New
Bye-bye.
Year.
Lovely.
Everybody, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
And I
Happy New
hope
Year.
you'll come back.
You guys are amazing. I'm looking forward to it.
Good.
Great.
Good.
Oh, don't forget to send me Anne's email.
Oh, okay. I'm sure I have it. I know I have it. Okay. Sounds good.
Bye.
All righty.